Welcome back to more Pikmin 2. Last time, we survived the Hole of Heroes, so this time, we're beginning our final day in the Wistful Wild. This might be a mistake, but I'm actually going to try a new strategy. I'm going to bring along 25 of each Pikmin type except the red Pikmin. In the final cavern, there is fire, but we will probably be able to get through most of it without red Pikmin. And actually having more of the other types of Pikmin will make some of the challenges a lot easier. So basically, we have one floor that'll be slightly complicated, but the trade-off is that every other floor should be a little bit more manageable, and I think that trade-off is definitely worth it, because this is the final cavern. It is definitely difficult, though I would argue that the Hole of Heroes is actually scarier. I was definitely more worried about that than this particular cavern, but just because I said that, things will probably go horribly awry, because I am definitely prone to jinxing. The Cavern of Chaos went surprisingly well, and then the Hole of Heroes went expectedly poorly, so we'll have to see how the final area goes. But we actually have to collect the final above-ground treasures first. We have 2 more orange bulb orbs and a withering blowhog, so let's fight these right away. I'll try to defeat both of these before the withering blowhog has a chance to interfere, because if we have to fight both at the same time, that would definitely be a little bit complicated. So that takes care of the bulb orbs, so all that's left is the blowhog. And with that, we have our final 2 treasures and our final cavern. One thing worth mentioning about this final cavern is its location is actually an Easter egg. So, it's located where the very first part was in Pikmin 1, the main engine. So basically, the landing site is where the final boss takes place, and the final cavern is where you actually get your first ship part. So yeah, kind of a cool little full circle moment, being able to like, or placing both of these like, yeah, the start point of the Wistful Wild and the end point in very important locations to the first game. With that on the way, let's head over with the white Pikmin and dig this out. I purposefully left the white Pikmin because this is really far away, and having the white Pikmin will definitely speed this up a little bit. So while they're working on this, let's check out our final cavern. Perhaps you will find Louie in here, and yet my CPU is on edge. Ludicrous dangers await. Beasts lurk at the bottom of the deepest, darkest, most foul, sinister, horribly vile pit. Do you still wish to enter? Of course you do. Courage is our true treasure. Alright, so we'll be entering that in a bit. First of all, we actually do have to carry all this back. The first treasure is over there, so it's actually almost back. We also are going to grow a few more Pikmin for our final day. See how high our numbers can actually get by the end of this playthrough. I usually don't prioritize growing Pikmin though. I usually get the number of Pikmin I need, and then kind of stop because I prioritize collecting all of the treasures and don't really take the time to actually grow Pikmin beyond like the necessary numbers. First up is the Seed of Greed for 70 Pokos. And our final above ground treasure is the Anti-hiccup fungus for 30 Pokos. So yeah, that's everything on the surface. All that's left is our final cavern, and this is definitely going to be interesting. There are a few eggs around the entrance, so we'll probably try to break those before we enter. See if we can find a few more bitter sprays. Not that we really need any more, but you never know. I definitely can see things going wrong here, so it is good to have some backups, even though there's only like maybe 2 or 3 enemies that I would like to have bitter sprays for, and having spicy sprays will definitely speed up a couple of fights later on. Alright, so we have all 100 Pikmin and are ready to go once we break these. Also, I guess you don't actually have to worry about this wall at all. It just creates another path to the impact site, but really, it doesn't really save you a lot of time, I feel. Like, I don't know if you actually carry anything through this path, because the other path, like, around this tree stump isn't that much shorter. So yeah, I don't really know why this is here. But with that being said, we are ready to go. Our final trial is the Dream Den. The Dream Den is really interesting because in some ways it kind of reminds me a lot of the Hole of Heroes. There are a lot of very similar floors, even though things like enemy patterns and like the treasures are obviously unique. So yeah, it kind of ties into what I've talked about already, that some of these floors kind of end up, to me, feeling a little bit like padding, and it doesn't help that a lot of them are very similar in layout and like visual design. We have a lot of orange dwarf bulborbs and jelly floats to deal with. I actually don't know what to do here. I think I'll try to take out the bulborbs. Zerk, how can you possibly consider this beast a treasure? Beasts are incompatible with my circuitry. I suppose I will store your finds in my hold. But I do not think beasts will be worth much. So that's interesting. That was the cutscene I was expecting to see after collecting the spectral lids in the Hole of Heroes. I don't know why it didn't play there, and now it's playing in this cavern, but hey, we finally saw it. Yeah, the enemies aren't really worth a lot. I guess one reason to collect a lot of enemies is to just bolster your overall score, but yeah, in general, it raises your Poké count by so little, and yeah, but just enough to potentially, like, cause problems, I find, in terms of, like, ending the final day in the perplexing pool just a little bit too early before you can get through everything. So in general, I do prefer to not collect enemies. Also, because it causes like the very round numbers to end up being somewhat uneven. So yeah, that's another reason why I tend to not collect enemies. Alright, so we have this piece of fruit over here. I'm expecting a dwarf bulborb to fall from the sky, if I'm being totally honest. But in the meantime, we'll fight our way over to the exit. In this cavern in particular, they really like blocking off the exits, which actually makes a lot of sense to actually force you to take some Pikmin with you through more of the cavern, rather than previously where you can basically get to the exit without taking... This is the disguised delicacy for 40 Pokos. as I was saying, it actually makes a lot of sense to kind of force you to actually have all of your Pikmin, or at least take some Pikmin along with you to the exit, rather than just making a beeline as soon as you've collected everything. So yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense, and I'm actually surprised they don't block off more of the exits, to be honest, because yeah, it is very easy to escape if you don't have to corral all of your Pikmin through hazards. But yeah, we're good to go here. Remember how I said that certain floors would be easier if we didn't bring red Pikmin along? Well, this is the first floor where that's the case. We have a Gatling Groink on top of this little toy castle turret, and it's really high up, so actually purple Pikmin have a hard time reaching it. It's also having a hard time locking on to Olimar, which is interesting. Yeah, I've actually never seen this happen before, where it kind of feels like, it almost feels like this is one of the moving ones, but it's actually stuck on this perch. But this is supposed to be a stationary one, I'm pretty sure. Like, it's supposed to be able to, like, turn in place and take shots at you. If the Gatling Groink was actually cooperating, I would recommend actually having it help you take out some of the enemies. Its projectiles will damage enemies and can actually help a lot, but this one is not cooperating. Also, I would recommend potentially leaving a captain at the base of this tower as a decoy, but again, it actually seems completely disinterested. I don't think I've ever seen this happen before, if I'm being honest. I wonder if it'll change when we bring Pikmin over. Okay, there it goes. Finally, taking a shot there. So yeah, that seems to have corrected its AI at least. So what we want to do is use a spicy spray and a bitter spray, because it should reach, and then quickly take it out. By the way, I actually looked up damage numbers for bitter sprays, and from what I can tell, enemies do get a defense boost if they're petrified, if they're bosses, but regular enemies don't, and from what I recall reading, enemies actually get a damage or a defense decrease when petrified, which might explain why the Gatling Groink was defeated very quickly, because I'm pretty sure it's classified as a regular enemy, and thus would actually take more damage than usual. This is the manual Honer for 130 Pokos. And we have the Implement of Toil for 55 Pokos. Alright, so we're done with sub-level 2. The first two floors weren't too bad, but this is definitely when things start to get a little bit chaotic. First things first, I want to take the yellow Pikmin and break this electricity. I don't really like having electricity this close to the landing site, especially because it feels like there's an enemy nearby that we'll have to fight. There are a couple ways to deal with this enemy. One kind of is a little bit glitchy. I might try to show that off in a moment. but I'll try to keep my Pikmin far away from danger. I actually need to bring like a Pikmin along because I don't think this enemy will actually spawn unless we have a Pikmin, so we'll take one with us just to get the enemy's attention. We have a Bullbear. What you want to do is basically stand in such a position that walks over a gap. It can actually fall through the gap and will instantly defeat the enemy, but will actually still give you the treasure. So if we can pull this off, we'll be able to fight this Bullbear very easily. And yeah, they do give us the treasure for that. So that's a lot less work than having to fight a Bullbear, and also we don't have to worry about like keeping all the other Pikmin safe in terms of like all the other surrounding enemies, the poison, the electricity. So yeah, we basically fought it without using a single Pikmin, which was nice. So all we have to do is collect this and dodge a ton of bombs in the process. I almost feel like this Easter egg doesn't work as well in this version because the Wiimote's nunchuck control stick doesn't look like this. This is clearly still a GameCube control stick. I get why they didn't change it because it would be a lot of work to change this like model, but it would have actually been kind of cool to have changed it. This is the Glee Spinner for 140 Pokos. And that's everything here. So where is the exit? It's all the way over here, but luckily this one is not blockaded. We have a very familiar looking sub-level. This is basically like one floor of the subterranean complex, but this time instead of bombs and volatile dweevils, we have cannon beetles and anode beetles. I do not like this arrangement, to be honest. I was kind of hoping the anode beetles wouldn't be like this close together, because this means we actually might have to fight some. I was actually hoping to be able to get through some of this without needing to fight all this, and also trying to fight cannon beetles on these very narrow pathways is very scary because they can very easily throw Pikmin off into the void. And with all this electricity around, I'm trying to figure out the best way to actually even fight all of this carefully. Taking out one enemy at a time and then retreating definitely seems like it'll be the best course of action. But yeah, these anode beetle placements are not in our favor. Yeah, we basically have to be very careful to avoid getting shocked while also worrying about getting crushed by cannon beetles. Is that close enough? Okay, it's those two. If it was this one, we might have had a problem. But luckily it was the other two anode beetles, so we're fine. Alright, now what? Another thing you can do is, again, you can position captains to kind of draw the attention away from enemies, which is not a bad strategy in a case like this. Another thing you can do is have the cannon beetles target each other. In the case of this cannon beetle here, I think I'll try this, because there's this one over here. So this one's actually more in the way because of the electricity surrounding it. So yeah, basically you can get the cannon beetles to fire at each other. If you position it correctly, they won't like counter each other with their own boulders. Okay, that worked out great. And now there's this one cannon beetle over here. I actually don't know if this is like far enough away that we can easily line up this shot. I was hoping to get through this floor way more easily. I'm pretty sure white Pikmin, for example, would actually be fast enough to get past all of this no problem. It's just the electricity might have been a problem, which is why I went out of my way to clear out some of this first. And since we're already here, I figured we might as well go all the way and make this floor as safe as possible. Yeah, it's facing this way, so hopefully the Pikmin will not be thrown off too far. That was actually really close, so I'll back off and try to like stand in such a way that'll reposition it in a better spot like this. So yeah, the worst part about fighting a lot of enemies is just them being able to fling Pikmin off. This one will probably be able to leave alone, to be honest, and this one will be able to leave alone for sure. So once again, we're going to move the purple Pikmin over here, and then swap roles with the president and have him collect the treasure while they act as a decoy. We really lucked out with the one throw, so yeah, that was very lucky that no Pikmin fell off the stage. I'm also going to go over to the side like this. I don't know why that didn't count, but all the Pikmin lived for some reason. It must have somehow clipped the treasure without clipping any of the Pikmin. I don't know how that worked, but I will definitely take it. And in the meantime, we'll make our way over to the exit and get ready to leave as soon as the treasure gets back. Yeah, I really don't know how that worked, but I'm very happy that we didn't lose any Pikmin here. This is the mirrored element for 300 Pokos. Definitely not the smoothest floor layout I've seen of this, but we got through it. And this is the fire floor, but we are not going to fight the fiery ball blacks traditionally. Like with the ball bear last time, what we're going to do is try to get it to fall into one of these gaps, which will give us the treasure. That way we don't have to worry nearly as much about the fire. Obviously, we still need to clear a path because this is still extraordinarily dangerous. But yeah, we have a lot less to worry about than if we had to actually fight an Emperor Ball Blacks without red Pikmin. So that's why I wasn't overly concerned about not having red Pikmin for this, because I was planning to try to show that off. It was actually way easier to pull off than I was expecting, to be honest. Partly just because it was positioned right by a gap. That definitely made things a lot easier. So the only enemies we have to fight are the two fiery blowhogs, and we will want to break some of the geysers around here on the path. And that was a really poorly timed throw. I'm definitely off rhythm with this, so I'll wait and try again in a moment. There we go. One more here, and then one more by the actual treasure. So, yeah, this floor actually went really smoothly because of that. Actually, I don't need to break that. I just need to toss a couple red, or a couple of purple Pikmin to carry it off of the fire geyser, and now we should be good to go to swap over to the white Pikmin. Again, since you only need two, they didn't need to go to the other side to pick it up, which is actually very lucky. So yeah, overall that went pretty smoothly. Again, the floor layout definitely worked in our favor with that one. Worth 40 Pokos, we have the Insect Condo. And we're good to go.